Many are unaware, but Mick Jagger did not write the Rolling Stones songs alone. Keith Richards wrote majority of the Rolling Stones catalog alongside Mick Jagger. According to my audience analysis, only 5 people knew who Keith Richards was and what his part of the Rolling Stones was. Because of this, many couldn't have an opinion on whether or not the band would be okay without Keith Richards. Keith Richards is a legendary rock musician that is one of the original members and contributors of the Rolling Stones. I have been a huge fan of the Rolling Stones for several years now. This is one of my favorite bands of all time. Throughout the next several minutes, I will tell you about Keith Richards' beginnings with the Stones, his involvement in the Redlands drug bust, the release of Sticky Fingers, and his whereabouts now. First, I am going to give some information about the start of the Rolling Stones. Keith Richards met Mick Jagger by chance in 1961 on a train, based upon the LPs that they were holding. They then created a band together and named it after a Muddy Waters song. They played their first show on July 12, 1962, and soon after were signed to a label in April of 1963. Once the band took off, success affected Keith Richards greatly as he got arrested alongside Mick Jagger. The drug bust occurred in 1967 and occurred in Keith Richards' own house. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison, and he actually only lasted 2 days in prison before his sentence was appealed. It was said that it was a setup and supposedly was done just to set an example out of the Rolling Stones. Although negativity came from the drug bust, Keith Richards continued to be a great songwriter and continued to make hit albums such as Sticky Fingers. Sticky Fingers was released in April of 1971, and it was the Rolling Stones' 10th album to be on America's top charts. It was a top album in America for about 4 weeks when it was released in 1971. Sticky Fingers was actually just re-released on the 9th of June this year. The re-release of Sticky Fingers leads me to where Keith Richards is today. Keith Richards is actually on tour right now for the Zip Code tour that is happening at this moment. He is 72 years old and is still playing guitar for the Rolling Stones. He's actually talking about releasing a solo album and going on a solo tour within this year or the next year. In conclusion, Keith Richards is a legendary rock musician that is one of the original members and contributors of the Rolling Stones. He began the Rolling Stones with no idea of the success and troubles to come. He went through problems like the drug bust, but the music still lives on. He continues to write music today and is still involved with the Rolling Stones. I'm going to end with a quote from Keith Richards. He says, "Music is a language that doesn't speak in particular words. It speaks in emotions. And if it's in the bones, it's in the bones." And I sure believe that music is in Keith Richards' bones.